Evolution's a religion, nothing more. There's no scientific evidence to back it up. If you think there is some, I really, really would like to see it. He mentioned that the Pope accepts evolution. That's because the Pope has never been to my seminar. And I don't care what the Pope believes on any subject, okay? I care what does the Bible say and what does science teach us. He mentioned in his opening comments that Answers in Genesis, Ken Ham, disagrees with me on most subjects. That is absolutely not true. I know Ken Ham well. I've met with him several times, talked to him numerous times. He and I disagree on a couple of little things. We agree on 99% of the things, and on the other 1%, he's wrong, I'm right, but it's real simple. Okay? Okay, I disagree strongly. I think the second law is a very valid argument against evolution. The second law tells us basically everything's falling apart, okay? The Bible teaches that clearly. Everything is waxing old like a garment. Here's Sue at 20. Here she is at 90. Here she is at 3,000, okay? Now, he mentioned that the human eye is poor design because the blood vessels are in front of the rods and cones. Well, the fact of the matter is, we live in the air, okay? Air is a poor insulator for UV light. Your body's last defense against ultraviolet light is a layer of blood vessels in front of the retina to protect the rods and cones from UV light. Some people say octopus. One atheist I debated in New York said octopus have a much better eye because their blood vessels are behind the retina. Ours are wired backwards. It's poor design. I said, well, sir, octopus live in the water. Okay? Water blocks UV light. They don't need their blood vessels in front. So if you want to swap eyes with an octopus, you just go ahead, but you're going to be blind in a few days. We're designed for living in the air, and they're designed for living in the water. And I think the eye is incredibly designed. At 51, mine are starting to fade a little bit, but hey, that's expected, okay? That's an example we used to be much better. Things are getting worse. That's the second law of thermodynamics. Things are falling apart. So their theory would say 20 billion years ago, Big Bang, 4.6 billion years ago, the Earth cooled down, it rained on the rocks for millions of years, turned them into soup, and the soup came alive 3 billion years ago. And so there's Grandpa right there. Okay. Now, vestigial structures is losing something, not gaining something. How can that be evidence for evolution? How did you get it to begin with? Secondly, the tailbone is not vestigial. One guy told me, he said, up at Berkeley, he said, I think the tailbone is vestigial. I said, well, I taught biology and anatomy. I happen to know there are 9 little muscles that attach to the tailbone, without which you cannot perform some valuable functions. I won't tell you what they all are, but trust me, you need those muscles. Get your Gray's Anatomy. Now, if you believe the tailbone is vestigial, then I will pay to have yours removed. Okay? Bend over. Let's define some terms. Stupid. Lacking normal intelligence. Foolish. Silly. A stupid idea. Evolution is not even a good theory. It is stupid. Okay? People are welcome to believe whatever they want, but I think it ought to be illegal. It's certainly silly and unfair to make all taxpayers support this one religion in our public school system, and evolution is nothing but a religion. I'm not anti-evolution. I'm not an evolution denier, like he says in his book numerous times. I'm for truth and against error. If evidence exists for a theory, show me. But don't use lies to support a theory. By the way, Kent is Welsh for bright. Okay? Just a little bit of trivia there. In 1949, the lower leg of a mammoth carbon dated 15,000 years old, but the skin was 21,000 from the same animal. Talk about a slow birth. 1963, living mollusk shells dated 2,300 years old. It's not getting any better. That's 14 years of practice with carbon dating. 1970, they said if a carbon date supports our theories, we put it in the main text. If it does not entirely contradict them, we put it in a footnote. If it's completely out of date, we just drop it. 1971, freshly killed seal dated 1,300 years old. 1975, one part of a mammoth is 40,000 years old, another part's 26,000. It's not working. 1981, it's not working. It has never worked. 1984, living snails, carbon date 27,000 years old. One atheist said, well, yeah, we know why that one didn't work. Okay, then how do you know any of them do work? If you know some of them don't work, how could you possibly prove any of the carbon dates are working? You can't. I mean, in a court of law, they'd laugh at you for bringing in carbon dating. 1992, 2 mammoths found side by side. One carbon dates 22,000 years old, another one carbon dates 16,000 years old. This is not an exact science, folks. 1996, up at Berkeley University, they used two different dating techniques. They found these bones are 53,000 to 27,000. That's a 96% error. This is not science. This is fairy tale stuff. It gets worse with potassium argon dating. You need video 7 for that one. This textbook says, normal fruit flies have 2 wings. This mutant has 4. This rare mutation, like most mutations, is harmful. Watch what it says now. Beneficial mutations are the raw material for natural selection. Excuse me? Why don't they give an example of a beneficial mutation? Why did they show us a bad one? And there are millions of those, happen all the time. But they told us the good ones is how it works. Show me a good one. You know why they didn't show us a good mutation? Nobody's ever seen one. One guy said, oh yeah, people in Africa that get sickle cell anemia are less likely to get malaria. Well, that's brilliant. That's like saying if you cut off your legs, you can't get athlete's foot. Both sickle cell and malaria are negative. You think that process is going to turn a rock to a human in 4.6 billion years? I think it's interesting evolutionists argue against design using arguments they designed. Think about that one. And why would you think a bone you found in the dirt can do something animals today cannot do, which is produce something other than their kind? No fossils count as a bigger picture, and even if Lucy is something unusual in the form of a chimpanzee 3 feet tall with a little unusual feature, that still doesn't prove it's evolving to something else. It could have been a creature that went extinct. So this kind of evidence would not hold up for 3 seconds in a court of law. But see, the problem is, evolution doesn't have to be proven in a court of law. It only has to be made believable to a bunch of students who have an academic, where the teacher has an academic and psychological advantage over the students. That's why evolution, the people believe that. The guys who studied Lucy say, look, this is not a missing link. Charles Oxnard, I'll show you the reference here, you can check it out for yourself, studied every single bone and said, Lucy, here we go, the various Australopithecines are indeed more different from both African apes and humans in most features than the latter are from each other. It's not a missing link. No fossils count to begin with, and even then, Lucy's not a good fossil to demonstrate evolution. Okay? I could point out that Microsoft PowerPoint and Microsoft Word have millions of exact lines of code. I mean, they're identical. I can click spell check in Word, and I can click spell check in PowerPoint, get the same results. That proves this all evolved from Morse code over billions of years. All the branches of science were started by creationists. The evolution theory has done nothing for the advancement of science. That's not why we put a man on the moon. That's not why you can do open heart surgery. Evolution is a useless theory, even if it's true. It is absolutely useless as far as science goes. You don't have to believe in creation or evolution to study science. You can learn about the biceps, the triceps, the deltoid, and all the different muscles of the body, and never get into origins. It doesn't matter. No doctor doing surgery cares at all about evolution while he's cutting somebody's heart out to replace it. It's a useless theory. And then there is no advancement in modern science from this evolution theory. The Big Bang theory, I think, is a great hindrance to, and many other theories about evolution are a great hindrance to science. There's all kinds of evidence against the Big Bang. The counter-rotation of at least 2 planets, Venus and Uranus. At least 8 of the 91 known moons are spinning backwards. Some whole galaxies are spinning backwards. 3 planets have moons going both directions at the same time. This can't happen with the Big Bang. You need to study some physics on that one. Thank you. I think the evidence for creation would be the absolute impossibility of the contrary. If we were walking down the highway or walking down the road and we saw a swimming pool in somebody's backyard and you can see the waves splashing out the top a little bit, and I said, I think that pool only has water in the top foot, the rest is air underneath. Without even going to examine it, the other person would say, that's silly. It's impossible that there not be water all the way to the bottom. That's the nature of things. Okay? It is impossible that there not be a designer. Everything is just so incredibly complex, there had to be a creator. I think the only reason anybody would say this happened by chance and there was no designer is because they don't want to find that designer. The atheist can't find God for the same reason a thief can't find a policeman.